What is going on, guys? I'm Consumer Tech Review, and today we're gonna be counting down the top 5 best budget 60% mechanical keyboards. I'm gonna list the pros and the cons going from the worst of the best to the best of the best. And if at any point during the video you wanna check out any of the 5 keyboards in this video, I'll have Amazon links below for the US, UK, and Canada. I do got you guys, but let's jump into number 5. And sitting at the number 5 spot is the GamaKay MK61 / Ractous RT61. The GamaKay you get on Banggood.com and the Ractous you can get on Amazon. Same keyboard, just different names or different ways of branding it. But this keyboard comes in at just 53 to 60 bucks. All right, now the build quality is really good. You have a one-piece shell for the bottom. There is no flip-up risers, but it is slanted, so that's nice to see. However, the big deal with this keyboard is it comes stock with double-shot PBT keycaps. All right, now the switches. This thing uses Gateron optical switches, which is good for the price point, and you can get it from red, blacks, blues, browns, and you can get yellows on Banggood.com. So if you want yellows, you're gonna have to get it on Banggood.com. I will have both the Amazon and the Banggood.com link below. Now the Gateron optical switches feel great. However, the sound is a little bit hollow because of the double shot PBT keycaps. This is something that just happens. Here's the sound test, take a listen. And that's how it sounds. Moving on to the RGB, this thing has a ton of colors, a ton of different modes, a lot of different modes that you don't see on a lot of keyboards, and it does have really good colors. They're like more of a pastel-y color. It's very clean, and I really like the RGB. It is also brighter than normal because it does have to fill out those PBT put-in keycaps, so the RGB is really good. This is hot swappable with other Gateron optical switches, and it uses a detachable USB-C for connection. But let's move on to number 4, which is the Redragon K630. This thing is an awesome keyboard for only 55 bucks. Now build quality on the K630 is better than the previous. This has more refined edges, just the finishing touches are just a little bit better on this one, just a little bit more refined. Now the keycaps are not double shot PBT, they are ABS, but they're a smooth one and they feel nice. This keyboard is also noticeably heavier than the last one, which I think affects the sound. This keyboard is using Altemu switches, and you can pick from blues, reds, or browns, and these switches feel really good on this keyboard. They're not Gaterons, but they do feel really solid because of the build quality, and they do sound much better than the previous keyboard. Take a listen. And that is how it sounds. All right, RGB is really good. This thing is much brighter than your typical Redragon keyboard. It's got a ton of modes, ton of other stuff. The colors are vibrant, so they're not like the pastel-y ones. These ones are really vibrant, which is nice. The saturation on them is really good, which I really like, and it is definitely much brighter and consistent than other Redragon keyboards. This thing would probably be awesome to putting keycaps on. But moving on to the next, this is hot swappable, but only without Altemu switches, so if a switch breaks, you're good to go. And it does use a detachable USB-C cable for a connection, although it's on the left side, which is not my favorite position for it to be in. So that's kind of a con. But moving on to the number 3 spot, this is the Royal Kludge RK61. I'm still keeping it super budget friendly for you guys at 50 to 55 bucks. Build quality is really good. It is heavier than the K630. It's even more refined. It's just a little bit nicer overall. It's also quite a bit heavier than the K630, and this is probably due to the battery because it is a wireless keyboard. All right, moving on to the switches. I'm not sure exactly what switches these are. I've used them. They feel good. Royal Kludge used to have Kale build their switches. I don't know if they still do. And then they would print RK on it. But then they also were using Gaterons at one point. So these could be Kales or Gaterons. It's kind of unknown and very hard to find out, but the switches feel really nice and they sound really good. Take a listen. And that's what it sounds like. Now the RGB and lighting is really good. You can get 2 versions of this keyboard, either a single color or an RGB color. The RGB is a tiny bit more expensive, so if you want to get that one, I'll have both linked below, both the static color and the RGB, but both of them have a ton of different modes. It's just the RGB one, you can change color to whatever you want. Now the next pro is the Bluetooth wireless. This thing has Bluetooth wireless at this price point, which is crazy, which I also think helps with the sound because it's so much heavier and just full inside. You can connect up to 3 different devices, it lasts a long time, and you can have it in a wired mode if you don't want the wireless. But it's really epic to see that at this price point. Unfortunately, it is not hot swappable, but it does use a USB-C connection for charging, or connection. All right, moving to the number 2 spot. This is the HK Gaming GK61. You guys knew this was gonna be on the list. This one's a little bit more at 60 to 70 bucks, but it has a huge pro and it's definitely still budget. All right, now build quality is on par with the Royal Kludge and it's almost as heavy as that one without it being wireless, which is crazy. Although the keycaps are not my favorite because they have that cheap looking overprinted white symbols that do the functions. I don't like it, and that's like a huge con for me. But if you're gonna put custom keycaps on there, it doesn't even matter. Let's talk switches. This thing is using Gateron optical switches or Gateron mechanical switches, and those are $60 and $70 respectively. However, the Gateron mechanicals are where it's at because of them being able to be fully hot swappable. I got this keyboard in blues and they sound very, very crisp and really, really solid, and I do like it. Here is the sound test. Take a listen. That's how it sounds. RGB is good. It's brighter than your typical keyboard. It's got a ton of different modes, a lot of all that stuff. It's not quite as bright as the number 1 spot though, which is pretty crazy. All right, now for the biggest pro, this thing is hot swappable, like I said before, with 3 and 5 pin switches. So it's not just hot swappable with its own switch. You can put whatever you want. You can put Sherry MXs, Kales, other Gaterons, really whatever you want into this keyboard. And that future-proofs it and allows you to customize your keyboard the way you want. And that's like such a massive pro. And this does use a detachable USB-C. Let's move on to the number 1 spot. And that is the Womier K61 and K66. This is still budget friendly at 77 bucks. It is the most expensive, but it is well worth it. Build quality is surprisingly good. This thing is made of a semi-translucent acrylic that actually I would have thought would be a little bit tinny. It's so solid, like one of the most solid keyboards on the list as far as typing feel, which is absolutely not probably what you or I expected. All the lines and curves are really cool and it's a very unique keyboard. This keyboard also uses Gateron mechanical switches, which feel really good because of the solidness on this keyboard, and they do sound quite nice. Take a listen. And that's how that sounds. Crazy, right? All right, now let's talk RGB. This thing is out of this world with the RGB. It is super bright, tons of different modes, super customizable, really freaking vibrant. It's beautiful. And the biggest thing with this is not only is it all those things, it's bottom mounted RGBs. That means if you put pudding keycaps on this, it's gonna look really, really bright. Brighter than almost any other keyboard just because it's bottom mounted and that light is pointed right towards your eyes, which is, it sounds bad. It's not, it's really good. And just like the last keyboard, this thing is fully hot swappable with 3 and 5 pin switches. So you can put any switch you want on this keyboard to future-proof it, customize it how you would like to. You can even just take the PCB out and build your own keyboard from scratch with just the PCB, and that's a massive pro. And obviously this thing uses a detachable USB-C cable, but this is absolutely my favorite keyboard on the list. It is so, so cool. Again, you can get it in the 60% or the 65%. I just prefer the 65%. They're both 77 bucks. I'll have both of them linked below. Again, if you do want to go check out any of the 5 keyboards in this video, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, and Canada. And for the number 5 spot, there will be a banggood.com link below as well if you do want to get the yellow switches. But if you guys enjoyed this video and it helped you out, help me out and throw a like below. And if you enjoy keyboard reviews, definitely consider subscribing to Consumer Tech Review below because I do a ton of those. But this was Consumer Tech Review, and I'll see you guys later.